Have you ever heard of the Henderson House? No, maybe that's for the best. It sits on the outskirts of a small town in Texas, hidden behind dead trees and a strange mist that shows up every night like clockwork. A simple house, abandoned in appearance, but every now and then it comes to life when someone is hired to look after a child who maybe isn't alive anymore. Claire was just another name on the list. 25 years old, recently graduated, babysat on the side to pay her bills. She found the ad on a local website, night shift babysitter wanted. High pay, isolation required. She thought it was odd, but the pay was too good to pass up. And like always, she believed everything would be fine. It wouldn't be. The house seemed frozen in time. A creaking gate, silent inside. Claire arrived, a middle-aged woman greeted her with a almost smile. She's already in bed. You only need to stay until 4 a.m. And please, don't touch the bookshelf in the living room. And never, I mean never, watch the VHS tape marked with red tape. It's there for a reason. Got it? Claire laughed. A VHS tape? In the 2020s. She just nodded, grabbed a mug of tea, and settled into the armchair in the living room. The clock hands dragged on. Nothing happened. The house was silent, dead inside. Sometimes she'd hear creaking from the ceiling, or muffled crying coming from upstairs. But every time she checked, the child, a pale girl with straight black hair, was sleeping soundly. Still, cold as marble, it was nearly 2:30 a.m. when Claire, bored and starting to suspect it was just some twisted prank by rich folks, glanced at the forbidden bookshelf, and there it was. The tape VHS, read with a small, handwritten note. Do not watch, of course. She watched. Slid the tape into the old VCR beside the TV. Was drawing its way out of the Then it began to play. A living room. The same room she was in now. A woman sitting exactly like her. Same angle, same armchair. It was another babysitter. And suddenly, the woman stood up, heard something upstairs, climbed the steps, and vanished from the frame. The tape cut to static, then started again. A new babysitter, same room, same fate. Claire watched in silence. She couldn't look away. It was like something in the footage grabbed her, pulled at her attention with invisible claws. The third time, the babysitter's face in the video turned toward the camera and stared directly at Claire. She froze. The tape knew it was being watched. Then she heard it. In real life, footsteps, upstairs, slow, heavy, coming down. Claire stood up, rushed to turn off the TV, and ran to the front door. Locked windows, nailed shut from the inside. Her phone, no signal. The tape kept playing. Now it showed her, Claire, standing in front of the TV, watching herself, and in the footage, behind her, shadow of you, she turned, nothing, just darkness. Then a cold whisper sliced through the air. You watched, now it's your turn. Claire ran to the girl's bedroom, but the bed was empty. The sheets untouched. On the dresser, a dusty picture frame with an old photo, a child, and behind her, several women with lifeless expressions. One of them was Claire. Same face, same clothes. The photo was dated 1997. She hadn't even been born yet. The lights flickered. The TV turned on by itself. The tape rewound and began again. This time, with a new babysitter in the frame. The next morning, neighbors noticed the Henderson house's door was left slightly open. But, as usual, no one went in. Days later, a new ad appeared on the listing site. Night shift babysitter wanted. High pay, complete discretion. Address at the bottom, and next to the bookshelf in the living room. There were now 2 red tabs. There are rules that seem silly until the moment you decide to break them. Lisa wasn't superstitious. She laughed at those stories about cursed mirrors and reflections with a will of their own. But in that house, on that night, the mirror didn't just reflect her face. It gave something back, something distorted. This is the story of a babysitter, a seemingly normal house, and an object that was never meant to be uncovered. Lisa was 23 and had been babysitting for years. In a quiet little town in Vermont, wealthy families hired her because they trusted her. She was polite, discreet, and never asked too many questions. That night, everything seemed ordinary. The mother, clearly in a rush, greeted her at the door. The house was luxurious, silent, and just a bit too dark. Before leaving, the woman gave one warning. They've already had dinner. They're in their room. If they wake up, read them a story. Oh, and please, don't remove the cloths from the mirrors in the house. Lisa found it odd. Why? The woman forced a smile and replied softly, "It's a family tradition, that's all." And then she left, as if she didn't want to explain any further. Upstairs, the twins, Devon and Grace, were sleeping peacefully. The room had expensive toys, children's books, and a mirror in the corner, covered by a black sheet. Lisa tried to ignore it, but something about it bothered her. Even covered, she felt as if she were being watched. Downstairs, every mirror in the house was covered the same way. One of them trembled slightly, as if moved by wind, despite the windows being shut. Around 11 p.m., Lisa heard laughter coming from the room. She went upstairs. The twins were awake, sitting in front of the now uncovered mirror. Grace pointed at the glass, smiling. "She's pretty, isn't she, Lisa?" "Who's pretty, Grace?" "The lady in the mirror." Lisa froze. Devin looked at her and said, "She said she'd take care of us. If you leave." Lisa nervously covered the mirror again. She tucked the children in, turned off the lights, and tried to convince herself it was just their imagination. But as she left the room, she heard whispering, and then a woman's voice identical to her own. "Don't wake them. They're mine now." Terrified, Lisa rushed to the study. Searching the drawers, she found an old folder. Old photos, birth records, and a yellowed newspaper clipping, folded many times. "Young babysitter dies after mirror breaks, case closed as accident. Children claim she entered the glass and never came back." The date, 1994. The photo of the babysitter, identical to Lisa. She stumbled back, knocking over the chair. From upstairs, the sound of breaking glass and laughter. Exactly in her voice, Lisa ran back to the bedroom. The children stood, eyes fixed on the shattered mirror, and inside it, she saw herself. But the reflection wasn't copying her. It smiled while Lisa cried. It raised its hands while Lisa trembled. And then the reflection spoke. "You broke the rule. Now I'm the one who watches them." In the blink of an eye, Lisa was pulled, as if invisible hands dragged her through the glass, and the reflection stepped out of the mirror. When the parents arrived the next morning, they found Lisa sitting in the armchair, reading to the children. "How did everything go?" the mother asked. Lisa smiled. But something felt wrong. Her eyes were dull, her voice slow, like it was being learned, imitated. As she left the house, she looked toward the covered mirror in the living room, and whispered, "Don't let anyone else come out of there." Days later, a new babysitter was hired. Simple rules: the children are already fed. They go to bed early, and please, do not remove the cloth from the mirrors. The story you're about to hear is whispered among staff at an old hotel in rural Pennsylvania, a place that hides more than dusty rooms and silent hallways. A place where, sometimes, the checkout never happens. This is the story of Megan, an ordinary young woman who only wanted to save some money before college. But that night, in room 7, she discovered that some jobs come with fine print. No one dares to read. Megan was 19. It was summer, and she was trying to save up to leave town. That's when she saw the ad on a library bulletin board. Nighttime babysitter needed. Good pay, discretion required. The address: an old, nearly empty hotel on the outskirts of town. Still, the pay was double the usual rate. She called, and that same day, she received simple instructions. Arrive at 6 p.m. The child will be in room 7. No feeding or bathing necessary. Just stay until the parents return. And please, don't open the window. It sounded too easy. The hotel smelled old, like damp wood and dead memories. The front desk clerk, an older man with a downcast gaze, handed her the key without a smile. 7th floor, last room down the hall. Elevator only goes to the 6th. The rest, you'll have to take the stairs. Megan climbed, eyeing each floor with unease. Everything was clean, but the silence screamed. On the 7th floor, the hallway was narrow, with stained carpet and a single flickering light. The number 7 was crooked on the door. She knocked. No response. She turned the key and entered. The girl was there, sitting on the bed. White dress, dark hair covering her face. She looked about 6 years old. Megan smiled and asked her name. The girl simply replied, "She's coming soon." "Your mother?" Megan asked. The girl only looked toward the window and whispered, "She climbs up when it gets dark." Megan tried to calm her, turned on the TV, picked up a book. Hours passed. The girl didn't speak, didn't eat. She just stared at the window, as if waiting for something. Or someone. At 2 a.m., Megan dozed off in the armchair. She woke to a sharp sound. Tock, tock, tock. 3 knocks. At the window. Frightened, she looked outside. Nothing. Just the empty city, 70 feet below. Then the girl started laughing. A low, forced, robotic laugh. "She's here." "Who's here?" "Sweetheart. The woman. She comes every night, but only shows herself to those who break the rules." That's when Megan noticed the window latch was broken, like someone had already forced it open before. Driven by fear and curiosity, Megan searched the room and found something. Hidden behind the dresser, an old folder. Inside, newspaper clippings. 6-year-old girl disappears in hotel, last seen in room 7. Babysitter suspect never found. Parents move away after mysterious tragedy. The photo of the child was identical to the girl she was with. The newspaper dated 1972. Megan turned around. The bed was empty. The knocking returned. Tock, tock, tock. Louder now. Megan approached the window slowly and saw it. A pale face, eyes dark as a well's depth. Outside the window, smiling at her. 7 stories above the ground, floating. The woman screamed, but the sound didn't come from her throat. It echoed inside her skull. A mental scream, a command, "Give her back. My daughter," and then everything went black. The next morning, the room was empty. No trace of Megan, no hotel record of her check-in. The only thing left on the bed was her name tag and a photograph taken during the night. Someone was sitting in the armchair. Hotel resumed its routine. Days later, a new flyer appeared on the library bulletin board. Nighttime babysitter needed. Good pay, discretion required.